So my thoughts on the Rocksolid audio controllers, both are brilliant. Look, they do this version as well, which is 18 pots, and you can literally just map them wherever you want. I think that's brilliant. So that's another version that they have. There you go. So you got the two different versions here. That's more of your channel strip. That's more of your everyday, every sort of, you could map anything to that. Here's the thing with this. These are £250, which I think is an affordable price for a control, what is essentially just a controller. All it's doing is it's giving you control over your plugins. Now, I always recommend to people, use controllers. You feel the music, you feel what you're doing with a plugin. I cannot, and I hate using a mouse to do any control. I bought one of these when they first came out. I mean, this must be about 5 years ago now. I bought the original first version. I did it on pre-order when I saw, oh, wow, we're going to have these sorts of controllers. I was crying out for these sorts of controllers. I bought the first version. Then what happened was SSL probably looked at that and looked at people, and there was a lot of buzz around the original version. And I think SSL probably looked at that and went, you know what? Let's build our own version, because clearly people want this. And they did. And they priced it up. I think it's around £500 to £600 for the UC one. And these are £250. So I think although Rocksolid Audio are the underdogs when you consider in competition with SSL, I think what they've done with their product is they've created a product that is in many ways equally as good, but they've kept it to a price point that makes it a little bit more affordable than £500-600 for a UC1. Now, the thing with it is it's a tough pill to swallow when you think all it is a DAW controller. All it is all it's doing is controlling your plugins. And you can physically do that with a mouse. I recommend using a DAW controller. It's a lot more fun to actually get hands-on with one of these, or any sort of DAW control. DAW control is amazing, but it's a real tough pill to swallow because there's no additional processing that it does. So it's like I'm forking out all this money for something that doesn't actually kind of impact my sound in any way, but it does. And I stand by that. And I wouldn't have spent as much money as I have on the Avid S4, because that is essentially a DAW controller, just like this. A very expensive DAW controller, but the difference being is when you're hands-on with a piece of equipment or hands-on with a plugin, you instantly are able to achieve a better sound. It's far more enjoyable to work when you're hands-on with a plugin. And I would highly recommend DAW control. DAW control is brilliant, and this is a really good way of getting affordable DAW control. Now, you can control any plugin you want if you want to spend the time mapping them, and then you've obviously got the option to download the custom maps that have already been made. I love this product. I think it's really good, and that's why I wanted to get it into the studio to show you guys, because I wanted to show a more affordable option for DAW control. So that is the Rocksolid Audio Micro 4K. No, and this one is the Rocksolid Audio Micro 3. I'll put the links in the description where you can go and order them. But really and truly, they're quality. They do exactly what you want them to do. And you can see that from this video. So how this works is simple. You open the Rocksolid Audio host inside your session. Then you select the plugin you want to use. So let's say we're going to select the 4K channel strip. Now, this is an old UAD channel strip that you might not actually have, because I don't think they released this plugin version anymore. Then what you do is you click here and you go mapping, create. Now, once you're in mapping, create, you can then select your pot and start controlling. And then so what we're doing here is we're setting up the mapping. Now, what you also have are these buttons. Now, you obviously can use these buttons. So let's say on the output, we click that. Now we've got control of that button on a button. Really, really good. But let's say we don't have, do we have a bypass switch on there? No, we don't have a bypass, but we want to use the bypass. So what we can do is now hit the input. Now we have the input is now our bypass switch, but it's not controlling the input anymore. So we go back, we map. Now what we have is we have an input. The input now controls the bypass and controls the input amount. So then if we go over to the compressor, we want to do the ratio. So we go ratio, we go threshold, we go release, and now we have that mapped perfectly. Now, for instance, on here, which it's good for, is we have this link function. So now with the link, we want to put it onto our ratio. So now we have ratio, control in here, and then link. It's a really good way of mapping any plugin you want. Now, obviously, it's designed to work with a channel strip. It's laid out exactly like the channel strip. And you can use it for any other plugin. So if we now just hit stop mapping, and then what you can do is remove the plugin. We'll then go over to our plugin list, and let's pick something that is, isn't, let's just pick, let's say the bus comp. So now we have the bus comp, and we can go mapping, create, let's go threshold. We'll control that with the threshold. The makeup gain, let's do the makeup gain on the output. The attack and release. So we could do, I don't know, what could we do? We could do the attack and release as, let's say, these two. Attack, release. Now, a more logical thing to do would be to kind of strip it down here. So you could maybe just do that as that, makeup on there, attack on there, release on there, ratio on there. Let's put the bypass switch here. And then these two lower ones, that and that. So now you have this really simple mapping that you can actually use, bypass, and you can use this mapping for any time you open the plugin. So you then press stop mapping. Now you've got, that is your mapping saved. It's perfect. It works so well, and it's actually flawless in the way that it works. It's perfectly mapped every time. Now, one thing you can do is if we load, let's say we load let's say we load the SSL channel strip 2. Now what we can do is we can go to mapping, delete the mapping on that. Then what we can do is download. Now what's happening there is we're downloading the mapping. So now we have instant mapping. So if we look at the EQ, instantly mapped. Now I love that. I love that you can download the mapping straight away. Look, everything's just instantly mapped. So you don't have to do your own mapping. You can download their mapping, which I like. That's a really good feature. But you might want to have the width, because the width isn't added onto this, for instance. So you've got all these controls, and you could maybe change, if you wanted to, you could change the width and pan. So to do that, you just go into the edit section, and you might want to change, look, I don't use the filters much. So let's use the filters as width, and then let's use that side as pan. So now we have width and pan, because maybe we use those more than we use the filters. We don't use the filters in this.